Hi, Michael.
Hey there.
Awesome.
There's Marcy Peterson.
Oh, we got the same haircut.
Hi, Crystal.
Hi, Carol.
Okay, Marcy is here.
Michael said he'll be right back.
Okay, and Michael Hall, perfect. Thank you
I
for
see.
hosting, Crystal.
Yeah, just let me know if you need me to do anything.
Okay. Marcy, thank you for being on early.
Thank you for asking me.
No, appreciate it.
This is great.
Oh, and Troy's joining on.
Hi, Carol.
Just at the beginning here. Hi, Ronak. Hello, Troy.
Hello.
Good to see you. And I see Darius is on. Just prior here, I just want to see if all 5 and my 6th speaker show up. So that's my primary early concern here. But if anyone has anything that they would like to ask or share over the next few minutes, they're welcome to. Hello there, Michael. Thanks for being on early.
Hello, Carol.
Good to see you. Your new book, I haven't started it yet, Michael. I'm just finishing up The 9 Flying Objects by Gregory Long, and then I'm really looking forward to starting your book on core secrets.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I think you'll enjoy it. All the stuff we've been talking about all these years are actually documented in this, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Thank you. And I will have you sign it when I see you next, and hopefully that won't be too long. We'll have to arrange a get together in Edmonds.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That would be fun to get together again and get caught up on all the stuff that's going on.
Sounds excellent.
So, Carol,
Yes.
I know we haven't started the group yet, but I have started writing a book. I have 11 chapters written, and the title is Real Time UAP/IT. And basically, in fall of 1982, they came. I was studying for a software engineering degree, which I finished, and they came exactly in the middle of 5 years that took me to get a degree. And
where was this? Where was this
this was at University of Illinois, Chicago.
Okay.
And Carol, all I've seen is pain, hurt, distress for the last 38, 39 years. I'm just able to open up. They have a harsh way of dealing with me because they're digging into my brain. And you know, we do talk. There's ideas exchange, and they're telling me that they found cures for certain types of Parkinson's disease or certain part of dementia, Alzheimer's, cancer. So this is like very serious thing. And the ghostwriter says you should, maybe somebody can write an autobiography or do a movie or whatever. And I think Jim Bassett told me the same thing too. I don't know if you heard of Jim Bassett, but
Yes.
Hey, Ronak, this is Michael Hall. I'm noticing that there's a light in the window coming from behind you that's totally overwhelming your audio, your video. We can't even see your face.
Okay, hold on a minute.
You might want to just turn that blind down or something, or get a light on your face somehow.
Let me try over here because
Or sit with a wall behind you.
Yeah.
a wall behind me.
Or get the sun coming. Oh, there you go. Now we can see who the heck you are.
So Michael, 1982 to just about a year ago, half a year ago, I could not talk about it. and they were strict. They were harsh. They were penetrating brain, something like a needle shoved into my skull. And first 15 years, all tension headaches. I don't think I've gone through any day without not having them with me as a, going down the brain. And they have solved many cures. And I'm not the only one. I was talking to James Griffith, and he was saying that, why do you only believe that they exist from 1900s and on? I said, I'm only one of 96 spokes. Like if you have a wheel and you have 4 spokes and 4 wheels, that's 96 spokes. And I'm only one. There are other 95 people like me out there who are going to eventually write a book, and there'll be commonality between their experiences and so on. But this kind of experiments are very serious. And I am very serious as well. Stephen Gear says he wants to sue the Pentagon for $1 trillion, and I don't stop there.
Ronak, let me ask you this: is this your first book that you will write about
Yes,
this
sir.
situation? Okay.
Well, yes, sir.
Do you know how to use? Listen to me for a second, because I'm going to try to save you some time. Do you know how to use Create Space through Amazon to actually create the book once you get the manuscript done? Have you ever done Create Space?
Michael, I have not.
Okay, so you might want to write this down. Whenever you get your manuscript ready to go, or edit it or whatever you want, go to createspace.com, and they will walk you through the process of uploading your manuscript to book form for Amazon. And you can sell it on Amazon in the ebook form. You can sell it on hard copy, whatever you want. But that's a good way to get the thing actually in print.
Okay, thank you, Michael and Ronak. We've got a few more of our speakers coming in. Thank you for being here, Ron. And I see Dr. O'Connor is here. I'm just checking off my list here. So we're ready to start right at 1 o'clock. So I'm just watching for Barbara Jean Lindsay. And I see that Erico is here, and Brian's here also. Hello, Brian.
Hi there,
Brian
Carole.
is
Good to be
with,
here.
hello, Brian, with
Preparing for ET contact meetup.
yes, and we have a cross post with Ray Hernandez on Zoom, which I believe is next weekend.
Yeah, next
No, Sunday, April
23rd.
23rd with Ray Hernandez.
Yeah.
And that'll be hosted by Brian and Preparing for ET Contact. And I just wanted to let the group know too, Maureen Morgan, who is the Washington State Director of MUFON, is starting up her monthly meetings in Port Townsend with the Olympic UFO group. And she's actually doing that today, starting up. So if you are in the Port Townsend area or have an opportunity to be over there when her group's meeting, she'll be posting those on SUFON also. And good, just have a few more minutes here before we start.
Could you, what about this with Ray Hernandez? Because I filled out their survey.
Well, we don't have time to go into it now, but
Okay, what's the date?
it's the Sunday, April 23rd from 3 to 5. It's posted on SUFON. There's additional information there. Brian had Ray on, I believe it was in December, and had a very long session with him. And part of that has been posted up to YouTube also.
Oh,
Also mention, Michael Hall, he's coming on this Tuesday. It's on my meetup. It's on my Revolution Radio show. This
Perfect.
Tuesday at 3 o'clock. So look forward to Michael.
Sounds good. I see Dr. O'Connor's here. And I want to let everyone know that this event is being recorded today by Crystal, and it will be posted on the SUFON YouTube page as well as Crystal's virtual campfire. So we talked a little bit about the upcoming events. I think that it is almost 1 o'clock and I'm going to be very prompt today. I think I'm going to be prompt. I have a new phone. The process today, we have 5 authors scheduled. I know that 4 of them are here. Each author will have up to 15 minutes to share, and it's up to them. I'm going to ask each of them to do their own introduction or however they would like to utilize their 15 minutes. Whether there's time for any questions will be up to the individual authors. And I am expecting Michael Brian to join us. He is a 6th author, so if someone doesn't show up, he will be added on to the end. And I will be the timer, and I will be giving like a 2-minute wrap up at the 13-minute mark just to help things stay on track, since we do just have an hour and a half. So thank you very much for all of the authors that are here today. So appreciate it. And Crystal, thank you again for hosting the Zoom. And so our first author, and I'm going to ask everyone else to mute. I will do the same while the authors are presenting or the speakers are presenting. And first up, we have Dr. Richard O'Connor.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm Richard O'Connor, talking to you from Clancy, Montana, which is close to Helena, Montana, the capital of this state. I've lived here since 1988, and when I came here in 1988, just out of my anesthesia fellowship at UC Davis Medical Center in Sacramento, this was my first job right out of my training program. And so I came here and worked with an anesthesia group at St. Peter's Hospital. And one of the physicians on staff was Dr. Jesse Marcel Jr., whose father, as you all know, I'm sure, was the Major Jesse A. Marcel Sr., who back in July of '47 was assigned to go out and pick up the debris from what he described as a crashed UFO. And so he brought the material on his way back to the base, in the family car, actually brought the material home and laid it out on the kitchen floor there, and woke up who would become Dr. Marcel, his 11-year-old son at the time, and had him get up out of bed and said, I want you to look at this stuff because it's something you'll never see again. This is from a UFO or a flying saucer. And as I said, I'm sure everybody's heard this story probably 100 times. But, and I will say that, and all the time I knew Dr. Marcel, I never really was told anything by him in addition to or different than anything that he ever said in public. So I don't have any big secrets to share, really. I mean, I think the importance of his story really is enough. But I will say that I think the only insight that I could offer everyone, just from my personal experience of having known him and worked with him in the operating room there at St. Peter's, he was an ENT surgeon. So, I had a lot of exposure to Dr. Marcel. And over the years, not only was he a medical colleague, but he became a personal friend. And once I had heard his story, and after a time of knowing him, realizing that there was no way that this man was going to lie to the world about what he saw and what happened there at Roswell. I guess that's the only insight really that I think I can offer people that didn't know him, was that this man was not a liar. He was a straight up, honest, good physician, took good care of his patients, got along well with everybody, treated people in the operating room very respectfully. He was never a prima donna surgeon like you may have heard we encounter sometimes. He was just a good man. And not only that, but he was a patriot, a soldier. You know, he was here with the National Guard. He was a helicopter pilot. He served 2 tours of duty in Iraq as a flight surgeon. He was just an all-around outstanding person. And so I feel absolutely certain that there's no way that he would have looked me in the eye and told me this story that we talked about several, if not many times, and lied to me about it, or lied to the world about it. That's not going to happen. So what he told the world about a flying saucer crashing outside of Roswell, New Mexico, you can take that to the bank. That happened. And hopefully we're going to be hearing some bit of truth from the powers that be in the Pentagon and the Department of Defense and the Department of National Intelligence through this new Aero office, and perhaps even this next Senate hearing that's going to be coming up here on April the 19th that probably everybody's heard about. But if you haven't heard about it, there's going to be a Senate hearing on April the 19th that's going to have Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick on the hot seat there in front of Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. Anyway, that's what got me interested in UFOs. And that was probably, as I said, I came here in 1988. So I've been interested in this subject since I got to know Dr. Marcel. And, you know, I guess I was busy with my career and family and what have you here. So really didn't get too involved in the subject other than just kind of keeping up, reading books, that kind of thing. I mean, between the end of Blue Book and, you know, really 2017, that was a pretty long dry spell where new information was difficult to come by and you didn't know, you know, how reliable the sources were. But my acquaintance with Dr. Marcel just sort of served as an anchor for me to keep pursuing the subject and trying to find out what new information I could find. And then a couple of years ago, I just, well, I would say going back to the citizen hearing on disclosure, Dr. Marcel and his wife, Linda Marcel, were over to our house. We're having dinner one night, and I asked him if he'd heard about this citizen hearing on disclosure that Stephen Bassett was going to give. And he said, yeah, I've heard about it. In fact, I've been invited to speak at it. And why don't you come with me? So I did. And, you know, I sat there for a week and listened to all of the 40 different eyewitnesses that talked there at the citizen hearing on disclosure. Dr. Marcel was one of them. And so there, I had all that background information. And when we got back from that, I said, you know, Jess, you're not going to be around forever. Why don't I've got this building here on my place. Why don't I open a library and call it the Jesse Marcel Library and use it as a repository of information, but also as a place where people that have this interest can come and meet together and discuss what's happening. And so I did that back in about 2012. And that's been going kind of off and on since then. In fact, we're going to have another meeting there on April the 25th, Tuesday, April the 25th. So if you happen to be in Montana and around Helena on April the 25th at 7 p.m., stop in the Jesse Marcel Library, 11 Ponderosa Road, between Helena and Clancy, and come meet with us. So then a couple of years ago, I just I thought, I guess I got kind of disillusioned because when those articles came out in December of 2017, I thought, well, this is it. I mean, the world's going to wake up to what's going on, and we're going to make a lot of progress, but it just kind of seemed to die. I mean, like, you got all these military pilots coming out and saying what they've seen, and you hear statements that the incidence of these encounters with the U.S. military and UFOs is increasing exponentially, and yet the public didn't seem to be really responding much to this, And so I thought, well, what else can I do to try to move this along? And so I decided to write a book. And this is the book. I guess you can see it. It's called UFOs, Nuclear Weapons, and a New Age of Reason. And I wouldn't say that in this book you're going to find any new earth-shattering information. Really, I just decided that I would write a book from my own perspective on what I had learned over the years about the UFO phenomenon, but especially emphasize these incidents when UFOs have shut down our nuclear weapons and those of Russia. And on 4 occasions that I'm aware of, according to Robert Hastings, the guy that wrote the book, UFOs and Nukes, on 4 occasions, nuclear weapons were briefly activated before they were then shut down in the presence of UFOs nearby. So for me, that is the reason that I stay involved with this, and why I think it is so important that we pay attention to this. And the events in Ukraine right now, and these threats that we're hearing of a possible the use of nuclear weapons that we keep hearing about, we keep drawing ever closer to this precipice that we've been warned about by these beings behind the UFO phenomenon. They're real, they're here. They've been trying to get a message across to us. I believe that message is that we shouldn't be threatening not only each other, but every species on this planet with nuclear weapons. And it's immoral, it's wrong. It's going to lead us down a path to disaster if we don't do something about it, and I think pretty soon. So in the book, I support or I encourage everyone to support the organization called ICAN, which is the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons. It's based in Geneva, Switzerland. It received a Nobel Peace Prize back, I think it was in 2019. And it's been a big proponent for getting rid of nuclear weapons. It's a big supporter of the United Nations Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, which became international law, I suppose you could say, in January of 2021. And, on a recent visit, I just got back a couple of weeks ago from Japan, and I went to Hiroshima and went to the Peace Garden there. And, being a physician and exposed to a lot of tragic stories in my life, and I had a few of my own in my own personal life. I don't cry, I never cry. But when I was in that Peace Park and I went through the memorial that they have there set up with all of the photographs and the video clips and the artifacts recovered, I was overwhelmed with you can still feel the anguish and the pain that people went through there. 150,000 people that died immediately, and I don't know how many people thereafter, and how many people developed different blood dyscrasias and leukemias and cancers, children that were burned, and it's just unthinkable and unimaginable that something like that could happen again. But, you know, that was a 15 kiloton bomb they dropped on Hiroshima. Now most of our nuclear weapons are 800 kilotons and up, and the damage that they could do to our cities and to this planet and the environment, the ecosystems of this planet are just beyond what we can imagine. So it's something that we've got to get a handle on. We've got to get rid of these weapons, and so that's why I wrote this book, is just to hopefully put it out there and maybe sell a few copies. You know, it's a self-published book. It hasn't sold many copies, really. I guess I didn't really expect it to, but I kind of hoped it would do better than it has. But I think it has some important messages for people to think about. So that's about, you know, all I really have to tell you about it. One thing I will say, though, is if you do order the book and you are at all into reading ebooks, you know, electronic format, it would really work better for you to read it in that ebook format, because it's got a ton of links in it. And instead of putting all the references at the back of the chapters, I put them all right in where I was referencing what it is. So it's a little unconventional in that respect, and maybe turn some people off. But if you want to read the book, read the ebook and check out some of the links, because I think just about anybody will be able to find something there that's maybe new to them, and those references are useful in that way.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Dr. O'Connor. I'm headed to Montana in June, but maybe not quite as far as Helena, but it would be next time I'm that way. I would love to visit.
That'd be great.
Visit the library. And I wanted to remind everyone that in the description, the SUFON description for this event is the link for each author and their books. And even once a meetup has finished, you can still go on to the SUFON meetup and just go to past events, and you will see all of the information there. So any of the speakers are welcome to put additional information into chat if they'd like, but I just want everyone in the audience to know that they can go back and access the books from the meetup description. Thank you. And so next, Marcy, are you okay to go?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. So next is Marcy Peterson. Thank you.
Thank you. My first recollection of a visitation was when I was 3 years old. And then as I grew up, I was attracted to science fiction movies, and I always wanted to go away with the spaceship when it left. I didn't want to, even when I was a kid. So all these shows like Twilight Zone, One Step Beyond, I could identify them, but I didn't have anyone around me that I kept it all inside my whole life. And then it was about 20 years ago, I went to a MUFON meeting here in Seattle when we moved up here, and met a hypnotherapist and went under. And the first thing I said was, oh my gosh, they're teachers. And that's the last time I went under therapy and through meditation. And I have had 3 near-death experiences. And 8 years ago, I did die and came back.
Wow.
But it took me 3 months to remember. So it's when I talk about it, it's very emotional. That's what I'm writing my book about. It's called Believe, There's More. I took the title from, I don't know if you remember in the X-Files, Mulder had a big sign poster in his office, I want to believe. And I kept saying, well, believe, darn it, believe. So I got that. That's what I'm going to call it. And then I had a dream. My husband and I, he passed away a year and a half ago. We're standing in front of a thick, thick forest. And there was a bright light, tiny light through the trees. And it was getting bigger and bigger and coming towards us. But it wasn't anything to fear. If anything, we were attracted to it. I turned around. Every human on the planet was behind me because they were seeing the light. And as the light got closer, it was destroying the trees. And I thought, oh, the beautiful trees are being destroyed. And a voice said, it's not the trees we're destroying, it's the illusion of the trees that are being destroyed. So when the light had come in front of us and all the forest was gone, everyone saw whatever religion they were in or a spiritual path, like they would see Buddha, Muhammad, Christ, an angel, whatever. An atheist would just see a white light. And then a voice said to everyone, there's more. And that was the dream. So that got me the little title on the bottom, Believe, because there's more. Believe in something. I want to give people hope. I want to write about everything I have experienced, good and bad. Say, you can get through life. You can get through life. The veil is transparent. Nobody has to lift it for you. And yeah, that's the one I'm working on now. I did publish a historical novel, Oranges in December. It's based on my grandparents, but that was a 20-year mission I wanted to accomplish. Got it done, and now it's this one. But to get away from this deep, serious, writing through all my traumas and all my ups and downs and near death and out of the body, I'm writing, I take a break from that. I'm writing about my experiences when I lived in Alaska, called Sourdough Starters, and short, funny stories. And I'm writing a book on animals because most of my life I've worked with animals and what they taught me. So that's what I'm doing now. You can hear an interview. There's on YouTube an interview I did, which kind of is like a summary of my book.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Thank you.
And then next up, we have Ron Calvin.
I am here.
Perfect. Thank you, Ron.
I want to begin by saying thank you for what you're doing. I mean, both as an author, but more importantly, to spread the word, because this is a good method, a good means to do it. And I feel that more people have to understand what is happening, what has happened, and certainly what will happen. So you've got my hurrah for what you're doing. Thank you. Mm-hmm. I'll preface it by saying that I've had an interesting exposure to a number of experiences throughout my life, what I would call profound experiences, not necessarily involving ETs, although that's been a significant part of my interest. It began when I was 15 years of age, and I was with a group of people. We were traveling back home from Texas, and we were driving through Indio, California, which is out in the desert, and a lot of UFOs have been sighted in that area. Well, we saw them. We weren't looking for it. We stopped at a rest stop, and there were, as I recall, maybe 6 or 8 of them doing what UFOs do. You've all seen that, so I don't need to describe it. Moving around, doing things at incredible speeds and so forth. And we watched them for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then they zoomed off. And we commented, well, I guess that's the UFOs up there. And everybody agreed. We didn't think too much of it. And that was my only direct experience with them. I have spent my life in the corporate world, and as a very straight average person, but I've been in the closet, if you will, in terms of what I've studied and what I've learned over the years. I spent a lot of time traveling, and I would talk to people, and I never brought up UFOs, ETs, or metaphysics, but people would often make comments in the course of conversations. And I learned that there are a lot of people out there who have a lot of unanswered questions. They might not buy into the total program, but they know that something doesn't make sense, and they have questions. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to write the books that I wrote, because I thought, well, I want to answer some of those questions. Now, I also talk about metaphysics, and I explain things because I believe a lot of what goes on is just the natural course of events. It's not understood that way. And I think the same is true with ETs and UFOs, as we will all soon see. I wrote 3 books, and they describe my experiences and what I've learned. And I wrote them in what I call plain English. In other words, for the average person who doesn't understand things as maybe you do, and you can explain what you know in common sense, easy to understand ways, that hasn't been a good job of being done in general, I feel. So I started when I was 15, I'm 85 now, and it's been an interesting experience. I try to explain these things that I'm aware of in simplistic terms. And I've found that there is a logic to everything that goes on. And, you know, when I guess it was 3 or 4 months ago, then they released some information about some UFOs that were in contact with the United States Navy. I forget the location there, but you all know about it. And they had these pictures and photographs of what went on. They behave in certain ways, and certain things they do, certain things they don't do. And understanding what they do, what they don't do, I think makes it easier to understand what is going on, what may happen. Now, in the course of my study of what I call metaphysics, I've run into a lot of information about ETs and UFOs in kind of a secondary way. And that's good, because I like to look at every issue from different perspectives, not just one. In other words, I'm willing to change my mind about something as I get more information. And as I read or hear different people talk about something from a different perspective, I get a new insight into it. It may be the same thing that someone else spoke of or wrote about, but now it's presented differently. And that is the way I learn. That's helped me a great deal. I, as an aside, and I won't go into detail, but I get a lot of information about what's happening. Speaking about what's going on in the world today, I knew years ago that we would be where we are today. And so what I can tell you is that more information is coming. A lot of people are going to be shocked. This is a process we've had to go through. And as the earlier gentleman said, we have ETs out there that are kind of looking out for us. And thank goodness for that, because they keep us from going over the edge. And I have been told, and I believe that they will disable nuclear devices should someone try to use them, because we're very capable of that. So they're not allowed to get directly involved with what we are doing, but that will change in due time. When the time is right, I don't know when that's going to be. So they're with us, they're there, they're monitoring. At least this is my belief, and I don't doubt that it's accurate. And I think that it's fortunate that we have that asset working in our favor, because we need all the help we can get. We can screw things up very nicely, I think. That's basically all I have to share. Like I say, my experience has been more in the metaphysical world, which is a little bit off subject, but aliens, ETs, and UFOs have been a significant part of that.
There, I
Thank
think
you.
I'm unmuted. Thank you,
Carole.
Ron.
Very welcome.
Carol, 1
And-
minute. I have to get going, Carol, but I'm still
Just a
showing
moment.
it up. I don't want to go, but I have to go. Sorry about that.
No, next will be Michael Hall. And in the end, if we have time, then we will open it up to some questions for the authors. Michael, are you good to go?
Sure, I am. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to be here with everybody and all these other amazing people that have written these great books and information out there. So congratulations to all of us for doing what we're doing. We need just to encourage ourselves, of course, as we go through this. Here's my book, Core Secrets. That's what it's called. Let's see if I can get this to zoom in so you can read the sub heading. The Admiral Wilson UFO Memo, Smoking Gun, Leak of the Century by Michael W. Hall. That's me. They call me the paranormal lawyer out there. You can check that moniker as well. But this book is, if you can imagine waking up one morning and all of a sudden being given the smoking gun memo, the holy grail of ufology that proves everything. If you can imagine that, that's what my client Grant Cameron did, or happened to him, in 2018 or 2019, around that area when the December time was. This was, and the funny thing is that this memo, this smoking gun holy grail memo of all time, is not well known, even in the ufology community. As a matter of fact, I would like to ask all of our participants tonight that if you have heard about this memo, go ahead and put your hand up, just so that you know that we are talking about a few of us. Only a few people have heard of this document, which is amazing because you folks are on the cutting edge of the information that's coming out about ETs and UFOs, UAP, all that kind of stuff. So I guess what my goal is to actually show what is in this memo and what happened to my client, Grant Cameron, during this process of unveiling the truth and reality of ET presence on the planet. So let me go ahead and give it a shot here. This document, by the way, is purported to be a transcript of an interview done by a highly successful and experienced government scientist by the name of Eric Davis. Dr. Davis is a member of the NIDS board of directors back in the old days, has been involved in the government deep black objects, unacknowledged special access projects for decades. And he was always curious about the issue of UFOs and ET contact and reverse engineering of alien technology. So at one point he got an interview with another highly classified and experienced government employee at the Pentagon named Admiral Thomas Ray Wilson. Admiral Wilson was what they called J2, Joint Chiefs of Staff, second in command. He was in charge of all of the military intelligence departments, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. If you can imagine one person in the civilian life that would be in charge of the FBI, CIA, NSA, Department of Energy, all of those intelligence departments, if you can imagine one person being in charge of that, that's what Admiral Wilson was for the military. So you can imagine how high up and informed he must have been during this process of, UFOs appearing, to military bases and shutting down nukes and all that kind of stuff. But in reality, this interview took place in the back of the Admiral's staff car in the EG&G parking lot at Las Vegas International Airport, McCarran Airport, and was for about an hour and 10 minutes where this scientist, government scientist, got to interview this admiral about what he knew about UFOs and reverse engineering and all of that and extraterrestrials. So this book ends up being a transcript of their interview where, let me just get to the bottom line, the admiral claims that the crash at Roswell, New Mexico happened in 1947, and the Army and the government retrieved dead bodies and alien alive bodies from that craft. And they are indeed reverse engineering since then, and probably even before then, the alien technology that they are able to retrieve from the desert. And indeed, Admiral also claims that this unacknowledged special access program that he came across when he was trying to find out what was going on with this UFO issue, that they said the government is in possession of a interstellar craft that can travel through space, our atmosphere, underwater, and through dimensions. This memo is so earth-shattering and basically corroborating all of the things that we in ufology have been studying and conjecturing over the decades, and coming out and saying that these things are true. So the admiral then finds out that these unacknowledged special access programs have no government oversight, no military oversight, no White House oversight or congressional oversight. They are rogue entities of their own that make their own rules on how to disseminate the information that they are obtaining. And in reality, they told the admiral when he was looking around that he had not a need to know, and they were not going to allow him to have access to their private civilian contractor information. So he went to, by the way, the Pentagon after this meeting, the initial meeting with these guys, and complained and said, hey, I ran across this unacknowledged special access program who seems to be rogue. They're not doing anything as far as reporting their findings to, oversight committees. And they won't allow me to have access, which I am supposedly in charge of their program. But here's the weird thing. Admiral Wilson's colleagues at the Pentagon backed the civilian subcontractor and said that the admiral needs to back down from his inquiries in this regard, and that he has no authority over them, and that if he doesn't back down, he's going to lose a couple stars. This is a 4-star general, by the way, and that he is not going to get those promotions that he is hoping for in the future, and he's going to lose his pension. So all of a sudden, the admiral is agog. He's thinking, oh my word, this is crazy, because I am supposed to be in the know of what's going on in this regard. Matter of fact, his thought was initially that he was going to go to this subcontractor and find out that they were in a back engineering process, probably with Soviet or Chinese technology, and they were only using UFOs as a cover for their, reverse engineering program. In reality, he found out it was totally different. This was extraterrestrial crafts and reverse engineering of materials that were not made by human hands, not made on Earth. So at that point, he finds a friend of his at the Pentagon to commiserate with by the name of Jacques Gansler, another high-level Pentagon official, who literally also tells him he needs to back off. And the fact that these alien UFOs do exist, but Jacques Gansler tells the admiral that UFO abductions don't exist, which threw a curveball in the very end of this 15-page single-spaced memo that was leaked to the public. And I believe that that was in there purposely by Jacques Gansler, the admiral's friend, to throw him off the track in case the admiral went rogue and wanted to spill the beans. He would say, potentially that there are no alien abductions in reality, along with the other things that he was spilling the beans on, and no one would believe him, probably in the ufology community, because everyone pretty much realizes that abductions do happen periodically. So anyway, that is the gist of this book that I've written. It's on Amazon.com. It's on ebooks. It's on a hard copy. And it's literally the first book that I know of that uses hardcore scientific evidence and memo documentation from high-level sources. J2, Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Wilson, and Eric Davis, high-ranking government official from NIDS and other places, to basically confirm the issue that there are aliens visiting our planet, and have been for quite a while. And we are back in reverse engineering extraterrestrial craft and technology. So I'm hoping that it's going to catch on, because the funny thing is, like the New York Times article that came out on December 16th of 2017, all of a sudden there was just like nothing happened after that. People didn't really follow up on it. The media, of course, is totally bought off, so they're told to kind of keep it quiet. And this document, this memo that was leaked on the internet by an anonymous source on June 6th of 2019 over Twitter and Imgur, proves everything the way we are supposed that they happened. So I'm excited to have this thing out there so we can talk about it and spread the news of what's happening. So if anybody points to a point on our planet here on Earth when we actually received first confirmation of the fact that we're not alone in the universe, I believe it was when this memo was released to the public on June 6, 2019. So that's the synopsis right there.
Hey, thank you. Michael, I can't believe you came in under time.
No problem.
And I might have the title wrong, but is it A Tear in the Sky that is the movie that you're in?
Yeah, right. It's another cool documentary where we're actually proving the existence of those Tic Tac UFOs that the Navy has spotted off of Catalina Island in Southern California. We went on an expedition out there. The UAPX team and Carolyn Corey did a film about us going out there and proving these things exist again, and they're still there.
Perfect. Thank you. So we do have, I don't believe, I'll just double check, Barbara Jean Lindsay. Are you here? She was one of our authors. And then I did have a backup author, Michael Brian, but I don't think my backup showed. Are you there, Michael Brian? No. So we just have 15 minutes until 1 o'clock, and we'll be coming in, or until 2 o'clock, pardon me. So I'll just open it up if anyone has a question for any of the authors before we finish up. I know there are little hand things under reactions, or people can just unmute and give it a go.
I've got
Oh,
my
I
hand
see
up.
Brian.
Yeah, I want to ask Michael, you mentioned rogue, like these people with the technology, they're rogue from the White House, the Congress, and the military. So do you think they're really rogue, or do you think they're answering to somebody else?
Oh, definitely, Brian, you got it. I'll just go to the bottom line from what I think is going on. There is an off-world pressure on this planet that basically have been keeping the human race in the dark for eons. And from what I hear, believe it or not, there is a galactic federation out there that's fed up with them and wants to bring the Earth inhabitants into the galactic community, and is basically giving them a deadline, saying you got to leave your hands off these folks on the planet because it's about time that they enter into the galactic community out there, since they are showing themselves to be a little bit capable of handling this now in the new generations, of course. And so, yeah, it's not like that they're rogue. They're rogue to our normal system of representation, by government here on the planet, but they're not rogue, for the Galactic Federation for sure.
Wow, so you think they're answering to a galactic federation? I was surprised. I thought you were going to say like the globalists, international bankers, the Rothschilds, the City of London. That's sort of the next step up. Maybe it's both, or maybe they're involved as well, and they're also subservient to the Federation of Planets. Well, what do you think about that?
Well, it's, the Illuminati and all those kind of folks. Those are just the earthly representatives of, the off-planet civilizations that have been trying to control the Earth for a long time. I'm a faith-based guy, believe it or not, and was raised in the church and was vice president of Puget Sound Christian College as well. So I've got that faith-based kind of, perspective as well. And of course, the Earth was supposedly a prison planet. This is where Satan was banned, from heaven as an angel. So in reality, we've been under control of demonic, or I don't know, I don't want to say demonic. I want to say negative forces. Let's put it that way, from the beginning of our civilization. And now I think the Galactic Federation is the other side of the coin, where they want to make sure that we have the ability to grow and enter into the galactic community out there as well. So yeah, there's always pros and cons and dark and light, and we need to be discerning as we get through this disclosure process, out there.
Yeah, thank you. Good answer. So come back on Tuesday, folks, 3 o'clock. It'll be on Revolution Radio Show.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Crystal?
Okay, I'm unmuted. So I'm a bridge from the Galactic Federation to the Earth. It's a project that I've been working on for many, many years. And I do have 4 books written, but what I want to tell everybody about is a documentary project called Shifting Circles, where since 2011, I've been documenting the shifting of human consciousness. Mm-hmm. And we're going to release that this year at the Northwest Flying Saucer Film Festival. And I just wanted to talk about it. If you want to look at our project, it's shiftingcircles.com. But there's a lot of information. There's a lot of interviews I've done on my YouTube channel with people that have worked in shadow government operations that you're talking about, and also people who also represent the light side, the good side that that I feel very connected to and am connected to. So it's, yeah, I just wanted to mention that.
Sounds good. And that's the Flying Saucer Party in Chehalis?
Yes.
In Chehalis, Washington.
Yeah.
And I believe that'll be in September. And they're having their first film festival associated with that this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And our documentary will be in other festivals as well. It's just that one I specifically like to mention because it's the Northwest and it's, you know, where we're kind of based. And I think we have a really strong energy here. And there's a reason, a very specific electromagnetic reason why we're doing it here.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. Any other author questions? Erico?
Hi, thank you for wonderful stories. I have a comment and a question to Marcy. I know somebody in Japan who is a comet researcher who had several near-death experience and become able to travel across the universe and a different dimension, and reporting that how the universe was born and the Earth history and things like that. And he's been writing several books, so he's kind of famous in Japan. So my question is, do you have like similar experience? What's the similarity of near-death experience and travel to other dimensional universe or contact experience?
Well, in two of my near deaths, you know, I felt leaving my body and being pulled backwards with that love you talk about, that you hear about. But when I died, it took me 3 days before I could talk or eat or sleep after I remembered it. My husband said, "You've got to tell me what's wrong." And I said, then I started to cry and said, I felt like I was home and that I knew God. And then it went from there. I was in a black space, the blackest you can imagine. I thought I had a body because that's the last thing I remembered myself as, having a form. And the tiniest, brightest light in the distance I saw. And when I focused on it, it exploded into an infinite number of tiny stars. And I was prepared for the impact, but instead, they pulled me in. And within seconds, I knew everything. I had infinite knowledge. And then I had that infinite love. And it goes, I remember a lot, but the initial remembrance was that, and that wherever I wanted to be, I just had to think about it and I could be there. Another planet, universe. And as I was watching it, I realized I was also creating it. And I was told everything that happened in my life was true. All the visitations, all the invitations to go on the ship and watch other humans being taught by a higher consciousness in a human form. So coming back here, it's taken me 8 years to talk about it, to find the words. And I'm still struggling with it. Because coming from there to this limited 3-dimension is still very difficult, but I manage. I have to keep a nice balance, real good balance. Did that answer your question?
Yes, yeah, interesting. Thank you. Yeah, the guy in Japan, he almost near death for several times. and he is a pilot from the Defense Army and a comet hunter. So there's one comet is named after him. So he was famous in the field. So he knew all the planets, things like that. And he said that because he was so experienced in near death, he became able to retain, almost sucking into the oneness. But he said he used the distortion of vibration with him, not to be sucked into the non-self state oneness, and still retain himself and then access information. And he said, because in the 3D world, he cannot comprehend or retain all information. Right. He said he made a library and now able to access. And sometimes when talking with him, I was heard from his friend that when he access information, like a background start like distorting. Yeah, and he became, and she said she touched him, and he was cold like stone for like 10 minutes, and then he came back to like a person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could not keep all that infinite information I got when I came back. Once in a while, not a light bulb, but one of those stars will light up, and I'll get validation confirmation, or not a download. I call them they're giving me, I can't think the word I use. Incoming. When I say the word incoming, when I used to my husband, I write it down because that they were telling me something. So I just leave it open to that, because yeah, here's something to try. For a month, don't take it off for a whole month, anything. And after 1 month, uncover that eye and then that's like, you will realize you lost all your depth perception. And when you get that back, you don't expect that. When you get that back, it's like putting on 3D glasses. And that happened to me, and I thought, whoa, this is a good way to say it, a good analogy. So if you want to know what it's like to be there and come back, that's something you can try.
Thank you. We have just time for one more question. I'll go with Troy.
Okay, so my question is also for Mercy. And Mercy, I'm curious how you would describe the beings that you call teachers that visited you. Are they simply just spiritual beings, or do they have physical bodies, or what is that like? And what can you say about them?
Excuse me. They take a form that we're comfortable seeing. So they take a physical form. My teacher is a woman who morphed to me from a wolf. I used to work with wolves. And I saw a white wolf coming toward me and morphed into this woman. And she came up to me and said, I remember you. And I said, I remember you. That was a dream. But it was also not a dream. It was like they call lucid dreaming. You're awake, but you're dreaming, or something like that. So they take whatever, like in the light, they take whatever form makes the person most comfortable, so they can approach them and communicate with them and give and take. But personally, my little being when I was 3 was about a 3-year-old, but all white, all light. I mean, all light emanating from within. I could see small, tiny eyes, thin mouth, and it would bring a ball, illuminate a ball, and we would throw it back to one another. He was helping me to remember. He was helping me to teach me in a little boy form or a little kid form. So I wasn't afraid. when I saw it.
Okay. One more question, if you
Okay,
could,
we're at 2:00, a quick one.
if you could briefly describe or convey like the root or nature of their message that they are trying to teach people on Earth, what would that be?
Have hope. No matter how bad things get, have hope, knowing there's someone taking care of you. Look at your pet. If you have a pet, look at how peaceful they sleep. That's because they get food, shelter, medicine, whatever they need. My teachers told me, think of us like that. Go to sleep at night, know you'll be taken care of, and open your heart and listen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcy.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'll wrap it up here at 2:00, and we've just kept it to an hour, even though we were short 2 of our authors. But thank you so much for the 4 of you that were in attendance today. And also thank you to all of you that joined us this afternoon too. And I'm hoping in the future there were other authors that responded to my call. So we may do another author Zoom. And I hope to do a SUFON member practitioner Zoom, and possibly one for influencers also. So with that,
Great.
I will say have a great afternoon, great rest of the weekend, and see you on Zoom or in person soon.
Okay, thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Carol.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Pleasure meeting
Crystal.
everybody.
Thank you, Carol.
Bye-bye.
Bye.